Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. My name is Reverend Sally Fritchie, and I serve as the Associate Minister of this congregation alongside our lead interim minister, Reverend Karen Bush, or KB. We're a church of many different theologies and identities, united by our shared commitment to building community, seeking inspiration, promoting justice, and finding peace. Remember to look around at the color-coded lanyards of your neighbors and be aware and respectful of others' needs and boundaries. Continued masking is welcome on Sundays, but we no longer require it of everyone while we're together. We're a congregation of all ages, which means we embrace all the noises or little disruptions our different ages can bring into a Sunday morning. And as always, anyone of any age is welcome to get a coloring kit from the box in the entryway, just near where the lanyards are. Most Sundays, kids and grown-ups enjoy the beginning of the service all together here in the sanctuary, and then after the story or a time for all ages, the kids go downstairs with their teachers to enjoy religious exploration and engagement, or REE. This morning is all about turning our church upside down and learning to see from a different perspective. So after the time for all ages today, the grown-ups will be going downstairs for REE, and the kids will stay up here with me to get to experience all the parts of grown-up worship that they usually miss out on. Now, if you're a grown-up who, like me when I go to church, likes to just sit quietly in the back of the pews and not be asked to do wacky things, like arts and crafts, please know that I hear your silent wails of discomfort when you hear this. But I encourage you to please see today's unusual service for the opportunity it is. Let your mind and heart be open enough to take in the incredible magic of what goes on Sunday mornings here outside of the sanctuary, which most of us never get a chance to see or experience. If you're really stressing about how this will all work, if you're watching from home and don't know what this will mean for you, if you know that accessibility challenges mean it's hard for you to move around the building from station to station easily, I hear you. Remember that like most everything this is invitational, not demanded. We'll do our best to explain all the options and make the path as smooth as possible for everyone when the time comes. So if this is your first Sunday with us, you should know that this isn't a typical Sunday, and you're invited to dive in with all your enthusiasm and know that you will be warmly welcomed by folks who are just as confused as you are about what's going on. And if this is your millionth Sunday here, please enjoy this chance to experience a side of church that you might not be as familiar with. For everyone here in the sanctuary and watching from afar, it's my sincere hope that you will find in today's service something that you need. And now I encourage you to take a moment to turn in your seats or stand if you like and greet your neighbors in whatever way is comfortable for you. You might introduce yourself, simply put your hand on your heart and smile. I'll ring the chime up here to bring us back together. Don't worry, there will be plenty more time to greet each other during fellowship hour. And now I will invite our RE professional, Kelly Skinner, forward to light the flaming chalice, symbol of our UU tradition. If you have a chalice to light at home, please do so now. And together we'll mark out this time and space as something warm, bright, and sacred.
So we light our chalice this morning with words from 18th century Unitarian preacher William Ellery Channing. You may join in reading with me if you choose. So Channing writes, "The great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own, not to burden the memory, but to quicken and strengthen the power of thought. In a word, the great end is to awaken the soul, to excite and cherish spiritual life. May the flame we light today guide us towards awakening the soul in each of us, young and old and in between."
Thank you. This is a church community that cultivates deep bonds to each other and to the wider world, and we strive to honor those bonds in many different ways. Remember to keep an eye on our weekly e-news newsletter, on our calendar online, and learn about opportunities to show up, find support, or get involved. At noon today after church, there will be a meetup and brainstorming session for our many LGBTQ members to gather and think about how we can support each other and show up for queer rights in the community. There will also be pizza. That will be downstairs in the Children's Chapel, which is the big room directly below the sanctuary. Reminder, too, that this Tuesday we will be holding the memorial service for Tom Neufer Emsweiler, who passed away in February of this year. The service will begin at 11 a.m. here in the sanctuary and will be followed by a light reception in Fellowship Hall. And all who knew Tom are welcome to attend and share their condolences with the family. Especially keep an eye out in the coming week, the 23rd through the 30th, because we have both a community-wide reproductive justice week happening with tons of events that might be of interest to you, and it's when our ministerial candidate is going to be joining us and trying to meet every single person in this church in a week's time. So make sure you look at the options that you have to meet with her, get to know her, and inform your decision to vote to call her to this church. Because we're doing things a little differently this Sunday, you might notice the order of elements in the service is a bit unusual. On a typical Sunday, we pass the plate and take a collection, which we then share 50-50 with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. For our April Sundays, we're sharing our plates with the Champaign County Court-Appointed Special Advocates, or CASA, a local nonprofit that supports and advocates for children in foster care. The work they do provides stability, connection, and basic human kindness to kids who are going through some of the hardest months and years of their lives. I recognize it feels a bit weird to me to be collecting money pretty much as soon as we all walk in the door. But quite simply, when we were planning this odd service, we didn't want to cut this out and let down our community partners at CASA by leaving out one of the opportunities they have to be beneficiaries of your collective generosity this month. As the basket is passed this morning, rather than listening to Juan play something lovely, we will be singing together a joyful and welcoming hymn whose lyrics will be projected up on the screens. As always, whatever you're able to give will be gratefully received, no matter the amount. And those who cannot contribute are invited to participate just as fully in the offering by singing and passing the basket to your neighbor with a smile, in the confident knowledge that your presence, voice, and listening ears are generosity enough today. You can give by text or through the online portal on our website, or if you're here in the sanctuary, the basket will be passed and checks can be made out to UUCUC. Half of what you give will go towards sustaining the work of this church. The other half will go directly to CASA. We invite you to contribute to the offering whatever is generous for you, and know it will be put to use immediately, helping make a real impact for kids who need it right here in our neighborhood. The basket will now be passed, and as it goes around, please remain seated and join in singing hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Song. You guys are good multitaskers. All right, this is the time in our service, as mentioned, when we have a time for all ages, where we read a story or do an activity that's meant to engage UUs of a variety of different ages and stages. Today's time for all ages, we're going to read a book that reminds us that there are many ways to read books, because this book doesn't have any words in it. There are lots of different ways to engage with stories and with art, and this book is called Another. So anyone who wants to come forward and hang out right here, I'm going to be sitting right here and showing the pictures to anyone who wants to see them close up. And the blurb of this book, the guiding questions of this book are, what if you encountered another perspective, discovered another world, met another you? What might you do? Hear me? Yeah, okay. You guys can come all the way up here if you want to. You don't need to stay back there. All right. This book is called Another. And look, there's our main character. Should we name her? What should her name be? What do you think her name should be? Emily. All right, here's Emily sleeping in her bed. And look, what's that? Bright light. Who sees it? The cat sees it. What's the cat's name? Snorri. All right. Emily and her cat Snorri. But look, what does Snorri see? Another cat, and that one has a blue collar. Snorri has a red collar. What do you think Snorri's going to do? Look. All right. The other cat's coming through some kind of doorway. Oh no, there he goes. And Snorri's following him. And look, Emily woke up. What do you think you would do if you woke up and you saw your cat running through a magical doorway? Would you follow? Look, there she goes. Yeah, it looks like it's made of paper, like you could touch it, but it's smooth. Look, Emily's going through the portal, through the magic door. What's on the other side? Just white space. But look at what her hair's doing. What do you think that means? Look at where Snorri is now. He's upside down. Look, it looks like gravity switched directions. Look, she's climbing down her sheets, but it's really going up. And there she goes. Emily is very brave, I think. She is not scared to go through mysterious doors. And look at this page. Whoa, the stairs. Here's the cat with the blue collar carrying a red mouse. And here's Snorri with a red collar. Do you think they should have taken the elevator?
What will we call the blue collar?
I don't know. What should we call the blue collar cat? Opie? All right. Whoa! He's falling down a ball pit. Look, yeah, what do you call it? A treadmill? Yeah, with a rainbow treadmill. She goes through so many doors, and look what's on the other side of the door. All these kids playing. That's pretty great. You think they all went through doors in their bedrooms? To another world where all the kids are playing together? Look, some of them are upside down. What kind of game would you play here? Would you do jump rope?
I would do jump rope, but I would prefer people doing the jump rope on the ground, and you would have to jump because you don't want to fall there.
That sounds like a fun game. Look at all these different doorways all the kids are coming through. Look at all these kids. Do you notice anything about some of these kids who are playing together? They look kind of similar. They are, yeah. Look, here's Emily. And who's that? But look, our Emily has a red planet on her shirt. What color is this Emily's shirt? Do you think there's an Emily from another world? They see each other. What would you do if you saw yourself in another world? You call her Semele? All right, look. Semele is holding a little red mouse toy. Oh, she's tossing it to Emily. That's good. She's sharing. All right, now our Emily and her cat are going back through a doorway. Semele and her cat are going through their doorway. Back into her bedroom. Look, with a new toy for her cat that she got from the other world. Do you think anyone will believe her if she tells them where she got it? The other cat went away, see? It went back through its doorway. We can look at it together once the grown-ups have gone downstairs to their classrooms. All right, you think all is well? Look, Emily is going back to sleep. Do you think that's the end? Oh, what's this? It's a blue mouse. They're going to have to go back through the door and give it back to Simile. The end. You guys were good listeners. Thank you so much. And now, I'm going to switch microphones. You guys can stay up here if you want, because we're going to keep hanging out here. And now I'm going to hand us over to Kelly, who's going to explain what happens next.
We're in for some fun, boys and girls of all ages. So, as Reverend Sally said, we are going to turn church upside down, and we're having our children stay up here to see what it's like in the sanctuary and see the parts that they miss. And all the grown-ups are going to go downstairs and see what our children and youth get to experience on Sunday mornings. So if you pull out your order of service, it tells you a handy-dandy way how we're going to be dividing up into groups. If your first name begins with A to E, you are going to go downstairs and you're going to start in the pre-KK classroom. If your name starts with F through J, your first name, you are going to go downstairs and begin in the grade 1 to 3 classroom. If your name starts with K to O, you're going to start in the 4-5 classroom. If your first name starts with PS, you're going to begin in the children's chapel. And if your first name starts with TZ, you're going to begin in the YRU room. Now, the fun part about this is that we have limited time in each room. So we have some guides who are going to help keep track of time and help have signs in the air in case you have no idea which classroom is which. And they're going to help escort us all downstairs. When it's time to go, if you forget where you're supposed to go next, this will tell you where you start and where you go next according to your group. So is everybody clear? And if not, we'll help you. Oh, that's right. Thank you. And if you don't feel like you can go downstairs because of accessibility issues, you are welcome to stay here and enjoy what it's like with our kiddos. And then if you're joining us online, we have a special video for you to watch that gives you a taste of what we're experiencing today. It's not going to be the entire time, so you get a little bit of extra time to work on one of the activities. And we'll all be joining together back here after the portion downstairs to finalize our worship service and to learn a little bit about what each other experienced. So with that, I invite you to get up and make your way downstairs. During our upside down church today, the adults are being asked to go down into our religious exploration and engagement classrooms, and the kids are staying upstairs in the sanctuary. And both groups will get to see what it's like on the other side of the staircase. And so since you're not here to join us, you'll get a little tour and a little taste of what the adults will be experiencing in the building. So welcome to the children's side of our RE and E classrooms. We have some bulletin boards that show our wonderful volunteers and our staff. And we'll visit the nursery first. Our nursery is staffed by our Sunday child care workers, as well as some volunteers. This is a great space to host our youngest UUCUC members. We actually provide childcare every Sunday morning, and it's open to infants and children up to 3. And then on the first Sunday of every month, when we have our intergenerational services, we actually open the nursery for children up to 5. You can see that we have a variety of wonderful toys for children to play with, safe areas where they can have some tummy time, and for our crawlers, as well as comfy rocking chairs and bassinets to take that nap, and a changing diaper station. But this is our nursery. Next, we're going to proceed to our pre-KK classroom. This is actually one of the biggest groups of children for Sunday morning religious education. And in this classroom, we have some things that talk about the covenants that the children make with each other and with the teachers. We have a wonderful bulletin board that talks about the principles in kid-friendly language. Some book areas, some crafts. And so one of the things that our pre-KK students do almost every week is something called the Wonder Box. And what the Wonder Box is a great way to use physical objects to teach a lesson. And so at this point in time, we're going to try to be a little bit of interactive. And I encourage you to get a paper and pen because we're going to do some journaling. So the theme for this service is changing perspective. And what is perspective? It's how we see things. And so in our Wonder Box today, what could it be? It's a pair of sunglasses. And so perspective is like the glasses that we put on to see life. We all look through different types of lenses, and we all see things differently. Many times, people all have different perspectives of the very same situation. Being aware that we have a unique perspective helps us to grow and change. Being aware that there's different perspectives can help us see the whole picture. And so when you think about it, there's actually 3 ways of looking. The first is understanding how other people see the world and how their identity and their life experience shape that view. Different things can shape that perspective. Being an adult or being a kid, being different gender, race, sexuality, your faith, your culture, your socioeconomic status, what job you have, your birth order, many different things. And when you think about these sunglasses and you look through them, do you ever really know what somebody else is seeing or somebody else is thinking? If you don't have sunglasses and you just have regular glasses, your prescription is different than somebody else's prescription. And we don't know for certain what other people are seeing or what their prescription might be, whether they're really, really short-sighted or nearsighted, or whether they have a hard time seeing far away. So we can make some guesses or predictions, but we're not really sure what other people see. And so when you think about lenses and sunglasses and glasses, it reminds us that often there's more to a situation than we know about. And usually other people have thoughts that we don't know. Finally, the glasses help us remind us that every decision that we make is based on a subconscious belief system that we may or may not be aware of. These are like sunglasses, and your sunglasses dictate the way that you see the world and the way that you shape your reality. And these belief systems are just ideas that each of us buy into as reality, and then they shape our thinking and what we do. They may or may not be true, but we use those thoughts and beliefs as if they were true. And growth actually brings us an awareness that we're looking through a particular set of sunglasses that we aren't aware of, and it allows us to change our perspective. So now you might want to get out your pen and paper and think about these questions. How can looking through different sunglasses actually help us? How can it be hard to practice looking through other sunglasses or being aware of the sunglasses that other people have? And what sunglasses might you be wearing that shape your perception of the world? And we'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes to journal about these questions. Okay, well, we're going to say goodbye to our pre-KK room and move on to the next room. The next room that we're going into is our grade 1 to 3 classroom. You can see there's a great area to gather for story time. And again, here's our principles in kid-friendly language. Some covenants for the classroom. A really neat way that they do their chalice lighting and their fun chalices that they use. And we do a lot of crafts in this room. You can see there's a leftover flower from last week's lesson. And some origami. So now we're going to head over to our grade 4-5 classroom. And this is our oldest group in the children's area. One of my favorite parts of this is the coloring wall. And so we use Soul Matters curriculum in the classroom, which is theme-based learning. But when they get done and they have a little bit of extra time at the end of the class, you can do some group coloring and work to complete that picture. Just like the other classrooms, we have some shared agreements and covenants. We have a very special chalice. And some different things about our sources and our principles. And now we'll have a chance to go across the hall to where we work with our middle schoolers and YRUU, which is our high school youth group. On Sunday mornings, this is always a busy area where parents are coming down and dropping off their children, and we're greeting them. This is the hallway to get into the other side. And this is our children's chapel, where both our middle school age and also some of our OWL programs meet. And one of the things that this group has done is talk about their identities and share some posters. Sometimes we do movies in here, and it's much more discussion-oriented classroom. So youth question the power of perception. And so we're going to do a short activity, and you want to have your pen and pencil again, because we're going to do some more reflection and journaling. I'm going to show you a picture very quickly, and I want you to take a look at it and write down what you see. So are you ready? Here we go. So you write down what it is that you saw in that picture. And that picture is actually an optical illusion called vanity. And I'm going to show it to you again for longer. And possibly you saw one of two things or both of those two things. So you ready? Some people see a skull in this picture. And some people see a woman who is sitting at her makeup table. So how many of you saw the skull? And how many of you saw the lady? And how many of you saw both? So I find it interesting that this image is called All is Vanity. And you might want to journal about what that means to you. So what do perception or first impressions have to do with awareness? And I'll ask you to write about a time that you thought one thing was happening, but actually something else was taking place. Or a time that you misjudged or prejudged someone based upon the first impression. What can you learn from that experience about perception? And I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to journal on these items. So we will wrap up our journey through our REE classrooms with a visit to our high school youth group room. And that's, our high school youth group is called YRUU, Young Radical Unitarian Universalists, or also the words YRUU, because this is an aid when we're exploring in our identities, what we believe in, who our friends are, and our relationships, and what's going to be happening in the future. And so if you've never been in here, one of the great traditions of our youth group is that each year they get to paint the wall of their space. And so it shows off their creativity, their sense of humor, and what it's like to be a teen. We have lots of plans and lots of exciting things that the youth do, both on Sunday mornings and in the evenings, like we do lock-ins or late nights. And so in this room, we're going to be exploring some poetry. And poetry actually gives us a way to creatively explore different perspectives. And we're going to use poetry to explore the concept of being a teacher and being a learner. And so I'm going to challenge you online to write a poem in which someone is learning and someone else or something else is teaching, inspiring, or guiding. And in your poem, the teacher doesn't need to be aware that she or he or it is teaching, or they. However, the poem should describe the lesson that the student learns. And I'm going to give you some prompts that help you think about what your poem wants to be about. So what are some things that you've learned from this morning's upside down service? Your poem can be about the relationship between traditional teacher and learner pairs, such as a minister and a worshiper, an adult or child, a human pet, a coach or athlete, older sibling or younger sibling. Those are just some of the pairs. Or you can consider our story this morning, the story that we used without words called Another, which was a story about different perspectives. So I want you to take about 5 or 10 minutes to begin writing. And you might want to put some music on while you're writing. You might want to have a candle or use your candle that you lit during the chalice lighting. And the rest of the flipped service is going to be another 15 minutes or so. And so I'm going to keep these prompts, and you can continue to work on your poem and keep your camera and your audio on. And then when everybody else has gathered from doing our classroom exploration, then we will re-put the camera on in the sanctuary and wrap up the service with talking a little bit about what our kids and what our adults learned through this upside down service. And as you write your poem, if you finish it or when you finish it, if it's something that you want to share on the chat, we'd love to hear what you come up with.
almost time. It's almost time. Welcome back. Welcome back, all. I hope that you had a great experience downstairs. You might have heard we were having an absolute ball upstairs, ringing the bell and playing on the organ and getting to know all the different parts of the sanctuary. Lighting candles, we wrote a sermon together. It was truly an engaging time, and I hope that downstairs you also had a chance to think about what counts as real church, and thinking about what is the point of all that we do here on Sundays. Sunday morning religious exploration and engagement isn't just kid stuff, because kid stuff can be some of the most powerful stuff that we do. Sometimes exploration and engagement is exactly what's missing up here. Typical Sundays might not feel like exploration, might not feel like you're being engaged with. I mean, I hope sometimes, speaking as someone who's usually up here. But there's a lot of value in reminding ourselves that the barrier between Sunday services and REE is an artificial one. The barrier between generations is one that churches are uniquely set up to be able to break down. In the end, or the great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, said William Ellery Channing, but to stir up their own. And I would shift that to say the great end in free religion as a whole is not to stamp our minds upon each other, but to stir up each other's minds, to quicken and strengthen our powers of thought and compassion, to awaken the soul such that it will be excited and cherish the possibilities of spiritual life. So if your mind has been stirred up and your soul excited by any part of this morning, you are in luck, because the REE volunteers are making time and space right now, immediately after the service during fellowship hour, to host a community information fair and answer all your questions about how to get involved with REE for all ages, as a teacher, a student, or a behind-the-scenes volunteer. We'll end with our unison chalice extinguishing words from UU Minister Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones, and as the postlude plays, I encourage you to begin making your way into Fellowship Hall to explore the REE Community Fair. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, for warmth of community, for the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you.